Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cantata Early Access Preview Stream. I'm Kyle Clickstell of After School Studio, and I'm joined not with faces, but with the voices of the other two gameplay programmers on Cantata, Mark and Rogue. Can you all say hello?
Hello.
Yay.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Steam.
And we are here.
And Twitch.
Because, we're live everywhere. We are on Twitch, we're on YouTube.
Every stream everywhere all at once.
Every stream everywhere, yeah. We're here and we are excited to show everybody what is going to be in the early access release of Cantata. It comes out in 2 days, May 12th. I don't know the exact time, but if you wishlist the game on Steam, we will be able to see that you like it, and that makes
I think it might be 6 p.m. GMT.
6 p.m. GMT. So for all you date time heads, feel free to convert that to your local time zone.
All you time heads.
All you time heads out there. So today's stream, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through basically what's in the game, what you're going to be able to have access to when you get the game on Thursday at, again, 5 p.m. GMT, which is probably, I think, about 11 or 12 EST. And yeah, so we're going to walk through a few different things. We're going to show people what's in, what's new, what you can do. And then we'll also be previewing the first look at the roadmap for early access. So I know people have already been asking us in like the Discord and simply people on like Twitter and Steam, like kind of what's next and when stuff coming. And we will talk about that. So
2 p.m. EST.
2 p.m. EST. So skip school, play Cantata. Yeah, I'm actually going to turn this music down just a little bit. Well, I can turn it down to my own ears. How about that? Yeah. So here we are. If you played the game for the past few demos, you'll recognize this screen. But you'll see a few different things here. So the first thing we're going to jump into just right off the bat is that Cantata now has two totally new tutorials. So these are tutorials that for people who haven't actually played the game yet or kind of like want a refresher, or people who've actually never played tactics games before generally, we have two tutorials here that you'll be able to play. The first one, we recommend everybody really kind of play like both tutorials. But if you're going to just play one, we have the basic tutorial. You got it. Oh yeah, because Mark did the advanced tutorial. So leave a note in the chat which tutorial you like better, because then we can give one of us a pat on the back. Yeah. So we'll kind of jump into a little bit of just these real quick to show you what's up. Also, we're saying, and this will come up a lot kind of in this stream, but both these tutorials were made like with our mod editor. So these are tutorials that aren't even hard coded. We literally made them with the editor. So that to give you some power, little preview for later. So I'll just jump into this basic tutorial first. And you can see down below, we have a nice little prompt saying, welcome to this tutorial. The structure of these tutorials is very like discursive. So we kind of tell you a little bit of something. I'm just going to click through this. And then over here on the right side, the objective kind of pops up with a little bit of a description about what you should do. Also, I guess I'll mention this now. A new thing that has come into the game recently is kind of a more robust options settings. So if I go to settings in here, I can see that we have settings for game, audio, controls, and graphics stuff with very sort of simple things here. One I'm bringing up is because, so if I'm looking on my screen here, I'm in a 2K display. So the UI is like, it's a pretty good size on my end. But if you have like a really big display, we do kind of a good job of setting the general UI scale for large displays. But if you want to make your scale, bigger or smaller, like let's say I want to make my scale really small, I can actually scale my UI. So this kind of like frame stuff. So if you're on like a 4K display, definitely go into that setting and kind of change your scale. We try to take like a best guess when the game is first launched, so you should be able to see all the UI. But if you're on like a much smaller monitor, for example, you might want to adjust the setting a little bit to be able to see stuff. Also worth noting, if the scale is really high, you can kind of mess your UI up a little bit. So we do give you a lot of flexibility there. I'm just going to put this back to the normal setting. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. So yeah, so there's settings, so you can kind of mess with some settings in there. The only other setting I'll mention before I actually get back into the game is that this is sort of easy to miss. And then shout outs to Rogue, who's on the video call or on the voice call for doing a lot of this. But we have the ability to kind of do nested tooltips, so hovering over different things. And the way that works is that you can set it by either using a timer mode or a mouse mode. I have it selected to mouse, but I'm gonna switch it to timer for now. And when you mouse over something, you'll see that little orange line increase. And once that's full, you can then mouse into stuff inside that tooltip to get more info about that thing. Or you can do like kind of the pro mode, which is the mouse. And if you press the middle mouse button, it'll auto lock the tooltip. So it's easier to kind of move in there. So a lot of stuff to kind of explore in the settings menu. Again, it's kind of like we're early access. We're going to be early access. So we're going to keep adding more stuff there. So I'm going to play a little bit of tutorial fast just to give you a sense of what's going on. This one is super basic. You know, it's the basic tutorial. It teaches you how to select a unit. It teaches you how to move somewhere. So one thing to note is that in stuff like tutorials or anytime you see an objective, you can often hover over the objective and see like where you need to go. And even if you click it, it'll kind of like move you to focus on the location where you need to go. So if I'm like way over here and click this, it'll move the camera. And I can see here if I need to move my conscript up here. And once I do that, I'll get another little prompt to say, good job, you did it. And then so on and so forth. So if you've played any sort of like tactics game, you know, this is a pretty standard. There's move ranges, there's attack ranges, etc. My goal here is to attack the cherubim. I'm gonna do one fun thing. This is sort of new. We have these beautiful little red attack lines, courtesy of Mark on the call. So it shows you kind of a better preview what you can attack. But I'm not gonna spend too much time here. Again, this is a very basic tutorial. We've also got the advanced tutorial, which I'll pull up real fast. So go over here. Welcome to the advanced tutorial. Mark, if you're able to say anything, do you want to say anything about the advanced tutorial and what we try to tell people?
Yeah, it basically takes you through kind of more advanced concepts like population and what capturing zones actually does for you, because you can't just build a huge army right off the rip. Your population, how many units you can support, is spatially tied to how many zones you control. So it introduces you to that kind of concept. There's also a pretty interesting concept called roads, in which units can travel through upgraded supply lines to traverse the battlefield extremely quickly. So you can kind of build up a transportation net alongside your supply net. And then at the end, we cover some combat tactical intricacies, such as counterattacking and opportunity attacks.
Yeah, that's like a really big change actually that we kind of did since the last demo, where most units now have the ability to counterattack, and most units have the ability to exert like a zone of control.
So yeah, that's the advanced tutorial. I think there's we also cover some terrain specificities. Yeah. Such as like the vision cost of a tile, the movement cost, and things like that. Yeah. Which kind of give detail to the terrain and prohibit certain units from being able to move certain places.
Yeah. We've also got, I guess this is sort of related to the advanced tutorial, but we're putting up a big list of like tips for the game, kind of like general stuff that has come up as part of testing, but also we're going to show some more faction stuff as part of the stream in a little bit as well. But I think just showing general tips for people to be like, hey, you know, this is Cantata is a complex game. You know, it's no walk in the park. You know, it's not a platformer. But I think so. We have this big list of tips that we're going to post on our forums, and we'll put a link to that somewhere, probably in the Discord and on Twitter, once the game actually goes live in 2 days on May 12th. Wishlist on Steam. And as part of that, we'll kind of list out a lot of these little small things to be like, hey, you know, don't forget this or try this thing. One of those that Mark just reminded me about is that we hide these by default, but if you press the R key, you can actually get a little preview of regions. So this is really nice if you ever need to kind of instead of trying to look at these tooltips to figure out what's going on in a region, you can press the R key to toggle on and off basically region information, which is really nice to be able to see what's going on. Carrot Ripley says hello. Welcome, Carrot. Welcome to the stream.
Hello,
glad
welcome.
you could join us. So the advanced tutorial, like Mark was saying, it's a dive into more advanced mechanics. What's sort of nice about Cantata is that if you wanted to, you could choose to ignore some of the stuff in the advanced tutorial, maybe to like the detriment of your, tactical strategy, but it's not necessary to just kind of play the game. And to show you what that looks like, we're going to go jump into chapter 1. Before I do that, actually, one thing I'll mention, because this will be super, super useful for early access, is that inside the game, we have a built-in feedback tool. I don't know if I think some people are aware of this, some people might not be aware, but over here, we have this settings menu. We have this button that if we click here, will take you to the Discord channel. But this little bug button here, if you click this, you will see this feedback form. So this feedback form goes directly to us. So if you ever have any sort of feedback about the game, like, wow, Cantata is the best tactics game ever, stuff like that, or, whatever else you might say that's plus or minus, you can set the vibe, you can include your screenshot, include your log, and then click send, and this will literally send to our bug tracker. Additionally, if you have a bug, you can select bug here and say that it's a bug. So this is something that we want to basically have people using and actively doing, because again, we're going into early access and we're not going in there being like, well, the game is like done, and we're just kind of trying to like, get more people interested sooner. Like it is still like a work in progress for some systems that we want to make sure are really ironed out. So the feedback form is in there as a really easy way for anybody to add feedback. I'm just going to even send this now just to show you. You'll click send. It might take like a few seconds to send, but also once it sends, it'll hit our bug tracking tool and it will actually assign an ID for you to use to basically send to us. So if you have some like really crazy bug or some really important feedback, we're going to give you a number here very soon. And once that appears, it takes a little bit to warm up. There we go. So this number is literally the ID of that bug or feedback on our bug tracking tool. You can copy that and send it to us on Discord, Twitter, the forums, wherever, and we'll look at that and can basically use that as a reference for the thing that you're talking about. So definitely make use of this. And it's available both in the tutorials and the normal campaign maps. So super, super helpful. But let's go look at the campaigns.
Yeah. Also, Ruben on YouTube asks, what weird creatures are there on the planets? So I think that's probably a good segue into maybe an overview.
The planet is a strange place. We have so Cantata has sort of three main factions: the Reign of Harmony and Prosper, which are like the human faction. We have the People of Sun and Shadow, which are the alien faction, and we have the Unified Spirit, which are the machine faction. However, on every map, as part of the campaign, the planet Shoal actually kind of exists and takes a turn, and they are in control of kind of weird fauna units. There's, for example, I don't want to spoil them necessarily, but there's like 7 or 8 kind of like unique fauna that kind of roam around on the map and kind of have their own AI that's associated with them. And those units are sometimes passive, sometimes aggressive, but notably there is a unit in the alien faction that can actually build them. So you're not just only kind of a participant watching them, but there's a unit in the alien faction called the Shepherd, which can actually build some of these fauna units, and you can actually control them as part of your army. So you can kind of experience more of their abilities there, which will be super cool. In here, I think this is like maybe a little new, but we have this chapter select screen. So in here, you can see that as part of early access, we have chapters 1, 2, and 3 that are going to be available to play. You can also see here chapters 4 through 9. We have spaces for them, but they're not playable yet. And they'll come as part of early access, and we can talk about that a little later. But each of these chapters, if I click it, I can see that I get a little bit of a preview about what that chapter is about. Let's go back here. Chapter 2 is They Wait in the Fens. This is the first People of Sun and Shadow chapter. And then chapter 3 is 10 Crowns, which if you've seen this kind of big lumbering blue machine unit from the trailer is also this is their chapter. So I don't know, does chat have any preference actually about where we start? We kind of want to just jump into each of these a little bit. I know we showed chapter 1 a lot, but I don't know if anybody hanging around has preferences on which chapter we dive into.
And while those come in, also Carrot says they can't wait to stream this in 2 days, which I think if you join the Discord, we should have a channel of people saying that they're gonna stream Cantata, because I definitely want to watch all of y'all stream it.
Yeah. He says chapter 2, which we can definitely do because of the colors. Yeah, this is these portraits were done by Artem, who's also our character artist, and I've seen the previews for the other chapters as well, and they are equally awesome. But chapter 2, yeah, I mean, They Wait in the Fens is pretty evocative. We love we love their art. Yeah, so we'll go into, this is the first chapter for the aliens. I guess so before I jump in, so what I will say, just in case it's not been clear, so there's 9 full chapters in the full game, and the chapters are split into acts. So Act 1 is chapter 1, 2, 3. Act 2 is chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Act 3 is chapter 7, 8, 9. So early access is basically Act 1, and then each act has a chapter for each faction. So there will be 3 total human chapters, 3 total alien chapters, 3 total machine chapters, and each one of those corresponds to a specific commanding officer from that faction. So for the first acts, you get the Shotar, They Wait in the Fens, and 10 Crowns. So we'll just jump into They Wait in the Fens' chapter here. And so yeah, this will be the first time you play as the alien faction. Also, you're hearing it now, so I think that we haven't done a good job at sharing this, but every chapter in Cantata has totally unique music. So we are not, and I think Royal's in the chat as well. Royal is our composer, and he has gone ham. So every chapter is almost like its own little sci-fi story, with all kind of unique background music. There's unique conflict music. There's even like musical moments on the map where if you're kind of looking at a specific area, you'll hear different music. So that like every chapter is seriously totally different. We don't have any just kind of looping standard background cue. Rogue says in the chat that each chapter basically has its own OST, which is true. I think that each chapter probably has like, I mean, Royal can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like 10 or 15 minutes at least of like unique music. And I think it also really helps for the COs. Like, you play chapter 2 and it sounds like you're playing as They Wait in the Fens. You're playing as this alien faction. It's great. I don't want to read this because I won't do it justice right now. But this first chapter is They Wait in the Fens is trying to infiltrate this base that the Reign of Harmony and Prosper has set up, because the Reign of Harmony and Prosper they found is kind of cutting down these trees called the Hands of God, and They Wait in the Fens wants some sweet justice. One thing that's also true about chapters 2 and chapter 3, because the alien and machine faction are a little kind of atypical compared to the human faction, each of these chapters has their own sort of selection of objectives that allow you to kind of learn the faction incrementally. We do, and I will say this a little bit more in the roadmap section, we are going to put in like faction tutorials at some point that are like dedicated, like this is how you use this faction. But for now, we've kind of baked some of that stuff into the chapters themselves. So if you want to like learn the faction, basically just follow the objectives. The objective should be kind of your lighthouse of kind of how to play the faction. And again, these are for the campaign maps. We could talk about skirmish a little later, but generally for the campaigns, you're kind of playing a story, and you're using the faction's mechanics to sort of forward that story. So follow the objectives and you'll basically learn it over time. Also, you'll see in these now we've got all these great unit portraits for kind of the key faction units, so you can get a better sense of, you know, the vibe of each unit. And then, you know, same control scheme. Nothing too weird. Let's get up here in this new little base. Our first thing is we want to scout our surroundings. Yeah. So it looks like there's a pretty big area we want to explore here before we get going. So move They Wait in the Fens up here. Let's see what we got. Ooh, night is mine. So it looks like we're getting some of these torches that are allowing us to have vision over this area so that we can kind of better infiltrate some of the units. If we actually mouse over this enemy conscript here, and if we hold the V key, this is a little buggy, but it will work for most of your purposes. You can actually preview some of their vision. So if I'm mousing over this little orange outline is the outline of their kind of active vision, and the green outline is their like explored range. So basically, if I move kind of in this area, this unit won't be able to see me. So, oh, this is also new too. So when you select a unit to move, we now on the map spawn little areas to show you that if you're to move here, that unit could attack. Some unit could attack you. So that way, when you're like looking to like where you want to move, you can kind of better position yourself and don't have to like count tiles to be like, well, that thing's got a range of 3, and if I move there, then, you know, let me actually see.
No more tile counting.
Yeah, we're trying to reduce tile counting as much as possible. I see Paul Myers in the chat asks, you may have mentioned this already, but what's the critical path playtime of a chapter? So each chapter we say takes between we say 1 to 3 hours. And that really varies based on like how fast you're trying to do it or how slow you're trying to do it. I think that for us, one thing we've always sort of said is that Cantata is not meant to be, like, from a campaign perspective, a very difficult game. And we're not trying to like destroy you, especially because we have a system of saving. And even if I go here and go to settings, you can actually turn on auto saving here and then set the turn increment where the game will just automatically save every number of turns. So what we don't want to do is make people have to kind of like reload saves all the time. Yeah, or Dia says it's 5 or 6 hours on chapter 1. You can take a lot of time. It's a turn-based game. If you really want to sit there and go to like turn 300, there's not like turn counters in the game that will like say like, oh, you have a fail state after this much time. There are like other sort of constraints, like there's a fixed number of resources on the map. So if you've like used all the resources, then you won't be able to build new stuff. But yeah, so we say like, if you're kind of like keeping up a general pace of like trying to get through the map and kind of spending your turns well, we say like 1 to 3 hours. Some people will be faster, some people will be slower. There is in each map right now kind of like very basic like star ranking system that has to basically, after you finish a map, we kind of score you on how well you did. Best you can do is 5 stars. If you do more or less than that, you'll get fewer or more stars. So after you finish, you can have a sense of sort of how you compare to basically like par performance on the map. It's also going to show one other thing with They Wait in the Fens here. So if I'm going to move over, if I preview this tile here, I can see that if I move to this location, the conscript will be able to shoot me. So this is just a nice little thing that now is really easy to see. So I can go here and shouldn't be able to be seen. One other thing that I'm doing that I was going to mention real fast, sorry, Rogue. This is like, I feel bad for our sound designer because it skirts some of his work, so I do apologize. But one thing we did add, especially for units that have further movement ranges, is that if you click a unit and then you click the position to move to, and then you click that position again, the unit will move quickly to that location. So if I click this, I will walk normally to that space. However, if I click, let's do this one. If I click here and then click again, I kind of like warp. So if you really want to move people really fast, you can just kind of basically double click on locations and they'll speed up. So sorry, Alec, but we did need to add that because there's a lot of stuff to move in the game and we don't want to just wait for everything.
But I think the sound moves smoothly.
The sound does still
when
work, but sometimes you just want to hear
yeah.
those movement sounds. If you want to really vibe out, you can use those movement
Just
sounds.
yeah.
Go
Also,
ahead, Rogue.
Vestus, since we've been mentioning pretty much everyone on the team, Vestus does mention on YouTube that they love the game premise and especially love the pixel art. So I think we should really give a shout out to the pixel artist,
Yes,
Vitaly, who
Vitaly,
has
yeah.
completely made this game look
Yeah,
insane.
Vitaly has been with me since like basically day one. It's like 7 years ago working on this insane thing. It's hard for him to get on chat, and he's a man of mystery in general. But yeah, so all the pixel art that you're seeing here was done by Vitaly, or he also goes by Cobra Lad online, and his stuff is amazing. I mean, everything is like it's him. Any pixel art you see, besides some icons and stuff, is his work. So yeah, I mean, major shout outs to him.
He's goated.
He's goated, yeah. He's the goat. So yeah. So we can keep going exploring in here. You kind of keep moving around this way. You can keep exploring. Again, our current core objective here is to oops, what do we got? Yeah, well, we're scouting, and then we want to kill some people. We need to kill some conscripts. Let's see if I can do that real fast. They wait in the fence is pretty strong. So if I go here, let's see. So I have an objective that they wait in the fins must survive. So I don't necessarily want to move out here yet because the conscript can get a hit or two on me. So I'm going to wait, but I will move these hunters closer and then end my turn. All right, so let me go. So yeah.
Strike.
I can see here someone's right here. So I don't necessarily, I'm kind of like, I want to see what's going on there. Maybe I'll take this hunter. That's still hard to see. Right, go here. Oh yeah, hunters are pretty strong. So there we go. They could be useful. That's actually, so yeah, there's a thing. I won't talk. Never mind. I won't talk about that. Great. All right, so I'm still kind of exploring. Let's see. I think I need to basically keep going down this way. One thing we do in this chapter, kind of we're talking again about like kind of the tutorialization of these two factions, is that we don't actually let you build stuff for a while. So if you can't build stuff, don't worry. It's not like you're doing anything wrong. We just kind of let people, we more fiercely control when you can build stuff, so you don't get overwhelmed when you start these two chapters where you're like, I can build everything, what do I do? I forgot about this too. So now each faction has their own actually professional tech tree.
Wow, yeah. It looks nice. It looks sharp, I gotta say.
Look at that. Yeah, so if you want to figure out what a faction does, this button for the humans, machines, and the aliens will bring up their tech tree, which is super nice. So you can see kind of what they do and what they build. We are also going to have like a wiki of some sort launching around the time of release or shortly thereafter that says more about these units. This is also just an image right now, so you can't actually like hover over this yet. So we're still working on that. But you can at least see here, like, okay, Living Shrine generates whispers that go to this thing, that Brute builds this thing, etc. So definitely use that as a guide. Let's see. Oh, that's the remains. Yeah, so I have to kill this conscript and then... Can I get there? Yeah. Easy. Taking him out. There we go. So now I'm level 2. So I got to cleanse the holy grounds. So I have to kill some more. I think these are probably units I have to kill. And then... Oh yeah, still doing that, I guess.
They wait in the fens as a notorious hunter of conscripts.
Ooh, yes. Oh no! I let my other hunter get locked behind a little bit. Oh, they got an encampment here. Okay, so that encampment has a pretty strong range. I can see here that it does 1 damage. This hunter has got 5. So it could survive a little bit, but if it keeps getting attacked by this conscript, that's no good. Yeah, let's
The encampments are no joke. They kind of they'll peck at you.
Doing the fins does 8 damage. Alright then. I forgot about that. Oh yeah, I can see here. Courtesy of Mark as well, we have some great new stack tooltips, so we can see who took damage, what damage they took, all that stuff. Really cool. I'm gonna end chapter 2 now because I'm just playing Cantata now. We're already at how long are we doing this? Almost 40 minutes already. So I'm gonna go check out the other chapter. Look at chapter 3.
Yeah.
So this is actually, let me real quick. So I don't know if you can totally see this, but so this is just chapter 2. So this is the whole map. You know, we got a whole quite a big tactical sandbox for you to play in, with all sorts of new terrain and, you know, sound and music and story, that stuff. What's up, Rogue?
Oh yeah. Well, just Dia mentioned in the chat that they're hoping to make a basic skirmish map and eventually a scenario.
Yes.
Yeah, you can. You absolutely can.
You can. Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that. I'll show chapter 3 off, then maybe we'll jump into the modding editor just because people have seen chapter 1 a lot, and that was part of the demo. So chapter
Crazy
3...
Hippie says, no, keep playing.
No, keep playing. Or you can buy it on May 12th. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff playing. I think when we told people that we were doing like 9 maps for the campaign, I think people are used to a lot of like real-time strategy games where they've got like 60 map campaigns, but all those maps take like 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe to play. And so 9 for us is like really big, especially because all the maps are also hand authored, right? They're like the designers, especially Daniel, who is, I think he might not be on the stream, just like went through and literally like hand placing all these buildings and stuff. Like it really is like a, you know, each map is like its own sort of like small sci-fi movie. And you can even hear here, right? Here's some great, this is some chapter 3 music, kind of hearing 10 Crowns' theme. I love the chapter 3 music. I've told Royal this so much. I especially love, I think you'll hear it soon, once this first little dialogue bit ends. When the background music starts, it sounds very much like you're embarking in like Pokemon, and it's just like, it's just got a whole different tenor than chapter 2. Like, chapter 2 is like, you're moving around, it's like stealthy, you're trying to like kill conscripts. And this is like, 10 Crowns is just doing something, and like, no one really knows what 10 Crowns is doing, and you hear that in the music. One thing I told Royal when we were first starting to do the music, I was like, the music is the only thing that knows what's going on. Like that's the only thing that really knows what's happening in the story, and we kind of really lean into that, and it's got this great character.
Yeah, it just really, really paints the narrative and your emotions as well.
Yeah. I think we're also seeing some of this art for the first time. So this is our little drone unit, and then we've got Vashti, which Vashti is the leader of this like big machine rebellion that you'll learn more about as you play the campaign. And 10 Crowns' art, obviously. I'm gonna click through this. Here we go. This moment. Just this music. Yeah, I just love that so much. And so so this map you're playing is 10 Crowns. So here's 10 Crowns here. This giant lumbering robot. Again, Vitaly just killing it. About, you know, how do you make something walk in with 3 legs. Also, you'll hear it too. Most every unit for all of the factions has the ability, they don't have the ability. They all have like unique sounds. So when you click 10 Crowns, 10 Crowns especially is interesting because it's sort of 10 voices that are inside of a single machine body. So every time you click it, you sort of hear this chatter, and it's different almost every time. Which is amazing. And then all the cherubims. Yeah, so that was all done by Alec Galambos, which is, I mean, he just fucking, oh, I cussed, I don't know if I can cuss on Twitch. He just crushed it. It just did an amazing job. And then you'll see here too, so like chapter 2, we have these kind of general objectives that kind of guide you to play the faction. So one of our first objectives here is to build the drill. So the human faction, the Rain, has the ability to build a mining facility, which you can place on resource nodes to mine. The machines have something similar called the drill. So if I click that and place that here, you can see, whoop, here we go. Build my drill. And so now it's done, and now it says build a supply producing building. And if I actually, this says more of what I can do, but I can also see here, another tech tree, all for the machine faction. So this will sort of help you, again, kind of see what build stuff. One thing interesting about the machine faction, I guess this is also, we didn't really talk about the alien faction, but the machine faction, their tech tree is less, like the human faction sort of progresses generally towards building like Onusaya airships and like grand bombards, whereas the machine faction, their tech tree is more geared around specificity. So you're generally trying to build different units for different scenarios, using kind of different permutations of buildings. So yeah, so this kind of helps you do that. Helps you see kind of what you need to build to connect to where to do X, Y, or Z. Sam says Cantata is smoother than the Equinox. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
A lot of work went into making it like that.
Oh my god, yeah.
Perhaps we should either explore north or take a peek at the tree.
Ooh,
On YouTube, we've got
the Hand of God.
Yeah, the Hand of God is the tree. To answer Ruben, your question.
So this is this is like a key plot thing in Cantata. As you play, and you'll learn more about kind of what these trees are and represent. But on this mission right now, 10 Crowns basically is telling Vashti, hey, we need to basically capture these trees somehow. And then Vashti is kind of pushed to the corner of the galaxy on this planet Shoal, and is kind of running out of options to run from the Reign of Harmony and Prosper. And 10 Crowns is like, hey, there's this thing we should do. However, 10 Crowns is kind of like hard to talk to because, again, it's 10 separate voices sort of competing with each other. So Vashti is kind of unclear on what 10 Crowns is trying to do. 10 Crowns might even also be unclear of what it's trying to do, but it's kind of the only option right now to try to basically turn back the tide against the human faction, the Reign, which is basically chase them to this planet. So Vashti is working with 10 Crowns, maybe not in her best interest, to try to figure out, like, is there a way they can get the upper hand against the Reign? And so this mission sees you mostly kind of moving around the map and trying to capture points around these Hands of God. But again, really big map. So there's all sorts of other stuff to discover on the map. There's, lots of story, lots of little plot points, lots of stuff to capture, battles to be had, etc. But yeah, maybe moving north a little bit. I do think actually over here we can start seeing some fauna. So maybe I'll move over here. This unit here is the builder drone for the machine faction, and it has the unique ability to basically transform into one of 3 different units after a certain amount of time. Super useful. Oh, here we go. Here's some, I remember who asked this, but here's some fauna on Shoal. So we have one of these octopus that kind of hang around these trees. So if you see any of these kind of like purpley looking trees, maybe don't get too close because they are... can be a little aggressive. Oh, we got someone moving around on the map. Oh, here we go. Yeah, they're coming for me. Also, again, this is an early access game. Some of the AI turns can be a little laggy, so we do apologize for that in advance. We're working on it, but also it is like a large-scale tactics strategy thing, so there's a lot of AI kind of thinking stuff. So, the game will run fine, but it might lag a little bit during some AI turns. So my builder drone is about to get decked, and it does not look like I can easily get out of the range of these octopi. So let me just see if I can maybe... Oh, I can surge. Okay, cool. So maybe I'll go here. Yeah, so Vashi's asking 10 Crowns, like, what's going on with this tree? to spoil the dialogue. I'll let you discover it yourself. We can also see, oops, here we go. Oh yeah, so we're gonna now see some of the trees that we want to try to go to. So this will also kind of show a little bit more of the map and give you some places that you kind of want to go to on the map to kind of direct where you want to get. Yeah. Over here we can see some more local fauna on Shoal. We have the finback, this kind of like shark mammoth thing. That's the best way to describe it. Yeah. Royal says praise the herb trees. Yeah, we just thought we make this game in 2 days after Elden Ring came out, put it all together. Do you have any other questions? Oh, the tech tree UI, Sam. Yeah, this is one thing we don't do for the tech tree right now is that it's not like built like from code. It's obviously just a PNG. So what we want to try to do is basically generate this from code, using this kind of as like a reference, because with the modding editor, if not, it's not relevant necessarily for everyone because the thing could be different based on who's, what units you're using, etc. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm also sorry, I'm just realizing other stuff about the game. So one thing we added it's a fun little detail. Every map has its own like background music, which you can sort of hear from over here. So this is sort of more like chill, kind of like, you're doing your thing in the game, exploring. But then if you're in conflict, like over here, it's got that more like battle music vibe. And every chapter has its own version of like that stuff. So again, it's really like every chapter is like its own kind of mini sci-fi story. So we really want to make you kind of feel immersed in that moment of like you are playing this kind of tactical strategy base building game, but at the same time, you are having an experience. You're just discovering our weird sci-fi world. So I think I'm gonna jump out and go. I might go check out the editor unless there's any more questions about the kind of core campaign stuff. We can also come back there if we want to. I'm assuming it sounds like nothing, Rogue or Mark. No more campaign stuff.
I don't think so.
Cool. All right.
No,
so,
I mean you exited. There's a lot of intrigue about the creatures of Shoal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll have some stuff about that. I think we're gonna have a lot of like. I don't want to spoil it. There'll be more stuff to learn about them in the future, I think, is the best way to describe that. So I guess the main game, right? So this is what you're getting on Thursday. So you're gonna have all 3 chapter maps to play. Each of these again is like 1 to 3 hours, or 3 to 4 hours, depending on how long you want to do it. You'll get the tutorials that kind of teach you how to play, which are over here. And then the other thing that we're giving is we are giving you literally the same mod editor we use to build these maps. We aren't giving you everything in terms of like, there are other sprites and stuff that we have and we're using, but we're not putting them in there yet because they'd be sort of spoilery. And there's also the ability to add new stuff right now, like in terms of sprites, is not launching at early access. We'll talk about that and talk about the roadmap, but everything else is basically in there. Plus some surprises that I'm going to talk about now.
I'm gonna reveal them.
Yeah.
Surprise.
So actually, let me back out one more time real fast. So just real quickly about these settings. When you start, you can basically just set the size of the world. Most maps we say are 64 by 64, but you can set, larger maps or adjust the slider however you want to. I would say if you're starting out, use a small map, whatever. And then here you go. So if you've been like watching our streams in the past, you've probably seen this editor. I think what we're gonna do probably shortly after early access is start putting together like a list of putting together videos that really, really like go in depth on what is in the editor, because there's like a lot of stuff in here. Because again, literally like the same tool we use to build the chapter maps that you're going to be playing on. So what I'm going to do here first is kind of talk about some like basic things and show you this sort of fun secret thing that we did. That'll be fun. So at a baseline, like you want to open up your editor and just kind of like start Age of Mythology, StarCraft style putting stuff down. That's going to be your build tab right here. And this build tab has three main options: interactables, terrains, and details. So interactables are basically units. So if I look in here, I can see that this is like every sort of thing on the map. These all right now have their own baked in kind of stats. So you can't yet like edit stats right now for stuff. So if you want like this door here, I just click this door and then I can kind of just drag that. And then now I have these like doors here. And then actually, let me see. I want to put down the X key deletes stuff. Good to know. But if I put down like this conscript and then I put some enemy, it's just like some enemy doors here. Oops, that's a conscript still.
Wall of conscripts.
Yeah. I go to menu here, and then I have the option to have a scenario name and a file name. You'll see here the path about where the actual file name is going to be saved. And this file name changes it. And then you can actually name the scenario something else here. We give you a default one, and you click save, exit to title. And then if I go to skirmish here and go to new and go to local, you'll just see local, I believe. Inside of this, you'll see, I forgot to see what the name of that was. Did anybody catch that?
Hopeful Murdoch.
Hopeful
Yeah,
Murdoch.
hopeful Murdoch.
Great. So if you go to skirmish here and go to new and then click your map and click start, there's your map. And then I believe I can, yeah. There we go. I made a map. It's that easy. But I'm going to show a little bit more. That's not the fun, exciting new stuff. So I can also go to modding, go to load, and I can actually reload my map here and start editing it again. So the build menu again gives you the ability to build units. It gives you the ability to build terrains. So these in Cantata, there's a distinction between terrains, which are, well, technically they're both terrains, but basically the terrains thing is like the kind of base layer of the map, and then detail is stuff that goes on top of that. So you kind of have two different layers of terrains. So for example, I can click one of these and basically paint the map like this. I think people have probably seen this before. Another thing that's really nice about the editor is that we have some nice hotkeys. This is all going to be mentioned in that list of tips I talked about that we're going to put on our forums. But you can do a few different things. So one of them is if you press or hold numbers 1 through 5, you can change your brush size. So that's me holding 5. And if I click this, I can literally, paint the whole map. We're probably going to add a flood fill eventually, but for now, just, put on a big map. You can also see right now that it's using the sprite that I chose here. So it looks sort of repeating. However, the shortcut keys in the editor are what are called chorded, which means you can combine them with other shortcuts at the same time. So if I hold 5 and click normal, what that'll do is it'll give me that sort of same tile over and over. However, if I hold 5 and then I hold R for random, I can actually paint random tiles, so it makes it look a little more organic really quickly. So it allows you to kind of like put together stuff quite quickly. And that also works with interactables as well. So if I wanted to place a lot of conscripts at once, you can do that. I don't really recommend doing like this. I don't want to do it. Well, I'll try it. Let's see. Yeah. When you place a lot of stuff at once, it might lag a little bit, but there's now a lot of conscripts. So inside the editor, you can see units, terrains, and details. So again, details are things that exist on top of the map, but don't actually change the underlying character. So like a tree, right? I can put a tree here and it doesn't change the underlying thing. And then what you'll have is options for these are basically anything you sort of see in chapters 1, 2, or 3 are options for stuff to place on the map. However, I'm going to make a new map and talk about the fun thing. Raytheon asks, does the R trig work for trees and interactables too? It does not work for interactables, but it does work for trees. Yeah. Because if we held random for the interactable, it wouldn't really make sense what we're choosing from. But yeah, so I can just real quickly show you. So if I pick like a tree here, let's do these like colony debris. If I want to place like colony debris down again, so you could, micro place them, or you can hold R, and then every time you click it, it'll be different. And then you can also do a big brush of the same thing, or I hold R and do it again. And and then you got yourself your own weird little sci-fi colony. Oh, another interesting good thing to know for this editor is if you hold right click, it acts as like an eraser. So I can kind of like cut a little path through here. There you go. So that's fun. Then you can also use that with the brush too, so I can erase everything. But so the thing that's cool, that's exciting to talk about, and actually Paul is in the chat. So Paul, big props to Paul on this. So we do have at launch, we will have again chapters 1, 2, and 3, sort of sprites and interactables, but also we worked with Paul Myers, who is also working on Bolero Tactics. Shout out to that, to kind of prep us some other sprite stuff. So we went on itch.io and went and found a lot of asset packs that have basically free to down, not free to download. Some were free, but basically, isometric sprites that we could download and use in our project that people could just have access to. I think I know a lot of people who see kind of isometric assets like, this is really cool, but I have to build a whole game. And we're like, guess what? No, you don't, because we've stuck them in our game. So if you scroll, and this will be easier to access in the future. Right now you have to scroll past like our stuff. But if you scroll down past our stuff, you get, what's this? We got some new sprites in here. So we got these are, you kind of might want to hand place these, but you can already see we've got some, actually I'll just do like a big weird brush. So these are just like fun little road tiles, but we got some better stuff in here. Is there a good like base? Yeah, here we go.
I like the water ones. The bridges.
Oh, that's weird. Look at that. They're like sort of slightly different heights. Oh, I see. He's got a flat one and a taller one. Yeah, so
Vestus on YouTube asks, can I also import my own isometric sprites?
You can, but not yet. And we'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about the roadmap. So I'm just going to...
But eventually, yes.
But eventually, yes. Yes. So yeah, you could totally make like your own little city situation here. Oops. There's no one doing the editor. Important to know. Not yet, at least, until someone really yells at us a lot and gets us to fix it. So let's see. So it's also the sprite packs are split between terrains and details. So there's the terrains, but if I go to details over here, I should be able to find some matching little bit. Too far. Not too far. Where are they? Here we go. Yeah, here go some little buildings.
Those buildings are so amazing looking.
They're super fun. So there's like the sprite sheet, and this is obviously very simple, but let me go back to here. Oops. So I'm just gonna... We got some other cool stuff in here. So that's like a pretty standard pixel art thing, but we got some weirder... Oh yeah, the happy smiley ones are really cool. So check this one out. This is like way more sort of like, pixel art RPG kind of vibe. And then actually this is a really nice little feature as well. Also, just so I can show you, there's a ton of stuff here. So I'm just up here, but if you look down, these are all like different sprite sheets that we have access to. There's a whole like little kingdom set. You could build little towers. There's like this Mars set. It's got like a Mars terrain style. Yeah, there you go. Your little the rocket ship. Oh yeah, these guys. These are really fun. Actually, sorry. I just want to delete this for a second. Oops. Oops. I messed up once again.
We have a great question on YouTube. Mike N asks, with early access release looming, which is in 2 days, what are y'all especially excited for?
You guys should go first. I'm gonna just mess around with some of these sprites. Right now we got the mushy sprites, which are weird as hell. But yeah.
I'm especially excited for the scenarios because they're really well made and really well written. And they kind of give really good shape and direction to the mechanics. So that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited to see people play them and like actually get into the story.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the story. The chapter 1 is kind of the most normal, and then the writers and the just everything, it kind of goes off the rails, and sometimes it blows my mind even when we're just having conversations with the team where I forget something happens and I'm just like, wait, what? So I'm really excited for everyone to have those moments that sometimes I just hear when I hear someone talking about a story moment and a beat in a chapter. Also, I can't wait to see what everyone else makes because the creative community is just incredible.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah, and the
excited.
characters are so interesting. Sorry, there's Vestas said on YouTube that the characters are interesting, and yes, they are.
Yeah. I think I'm just excited for like people to I am like legitimately excited for like the feedback. Like I think that I mentioned this on the 3 Moves Ahead podcast that I went on. But I think that like it's like hard for us sometimes to figure out like how to do like what's sort of the best decision to make for the game, because a lot of what we're doing is like weird and new. And I think that I'm really excited for people to actually like play the game and like kind of see it for what it is. You know, I think that for a long time, this game has been theory crafted a lot, both by ourselves and other players, to be like, oh, well, it could be all these different things. And I think what'll be really cool now is that people will actually be able to play it and kind of respond to something as like in the actual state in which it's meant to be like consumed as, and then like give us feedback on it, like based on its actual merits, to be like, you know, this is what it is. Like, where can we sort of go from here? So I'm having a good time doing. There's some really cool. Oh yeah, these are awesome. I want to see someone build like a dungeon set like this. Yeah, these are great. It's like a weird like psychedelic dungeon. Oh yeah,
you could do so many cool little mini games and stuff with this.
Yeah. Oh, we got like a little painting. Oh, the paper.
There's also so many things on the roadmap that are, I think I'm personally excited for, and I think the team is as well.
Yeah, let's take a look at the roadmap.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Sorry, I want to find. I'm looking for something else that was in here. Oh, we have all these other little. Oh yeah, we have these city building tiles. Look at this. You want to build a little city builder? Oh, these are weird. Oh yeah, because they need their tops. There you go. Slightly strange. Oh, let me see if there's. I do want to look at the roadmap. Okay, I'm done. Actually, sorry. Just to prove the point, to really bring it home, put a conscript on the map. Cocky Engelbart, great name. Oops, there we go. And there we go. I'm playing on the map. All the sprites. I mean, define playing. I don't totally know, but get a sense of what's going on. Yeah, let's look at the roadmap. Oh, I see Diabound asks, how do you do that big thing with the brush? So if you hold the keys 1 through 5, it changes the brush size. It's not a toggle, so you have to hold it for now. But if you hold the number keys, it'll change the size. You can also, we can talk about this later, but you can also do like your own dialogue and stuff in the editor. You can do triggers, AI, all that stuff, but we can talk about that more after the game's out. Sorry, Rogue, I just see later in the chat you mentioned that. Dia, I think you do have the options in your build. Should be in there. But yeah. Yeah, let's talk about the roadmap. So again, we're in early access, or we're almost in early access in 2 days. And here is our roadmap. So kind of like related to what I was talking about a second ago, the game's in like a pretty good state in terms of like kind of core features, but we are trying to improve it in a few different ways. And so we put together a roadmap of stuff that we know that we want in from a feature perspective, but also sort of things that we want to get in just as like nice to haves. So at launch, you can see here, we've got the Campaign Act Campaign Act 1 with chapters 1 through 3, as well as like the basic modding. So that is the 3 campaign maps that I guess we showed 2, but the 3 maps of Act 1, and then the modding stuff we were just showing you. And so the modding stuff is you're able to, build out your own maps and play them locally, kind of with. We haven't really tested Hot Seat yet, so if you try to have 2 human players, it might be really weird and break. But you can do at least like the current configuration, which is like 1 player and 2 AI units. You should be able to play stuff with that. I would say don't get too attached to anything right now, because we still want to add more features to that to make it kind of a little bit more usable for people who aren't on the internal team. But that is being released as part of Early Access Part 1. Next up is Phase 1. So the phases we don't have exact dates for these because we know that, people do like, people who puts dates on roadmaps, they often run over. So we don't want to put dates on it necessarily, but we do have a sense of a timeline. It's not like a year. Like Phase 1 is not a year long, just so it's clear. But so this is kind of the first batch of stuff we want to do. So someone asked, I think Rogue mentioned about custom unit stuff. So we are going to have an ability as part of Phase 1 to add in your own custom units. This is like a first class thing. We already do it now for Cantata. We just wanted to make sure the kind of core build for early access was in a good place before we really focused on adding that as like more general functionality. So that will be as part of that first phase. We're also going to be adding unit passives. So this is kind of just a nice feature. I think some of our units will probably use them, but it's also just a nice thing to do with custom mod data about ways to kind of grant like passive perks basically to units that allow them to sort of have more transient functionality, or like, if someone's near you and they give stuff in their range, like a certain bonus, like the rain might be where if you're near one of the banners, you get like a +1 attack or something. So it's a little bit more tactical about like where you're at. Additionally, there's 3 other sort of features that are kind of like interlocked. Well, 2 of them are kind of interlocked. So this is like maybe the first time people are hearing about this, but we're going to have like a random map generator mode. So this is going to be really rough when it first comes out. But the idea is that it's going to be something sort of more similar to like a civilization style map. And what this will be is that we kind of generate a terrain and then kind of put regions down automatically that you then have to sort of capture, and you have to play with like kind of a pre-configured faction. So right now, if you dive into the editor, you'll see that like you can kind of add anything as infrastructure and add anything as pop counts or whatever. The map generator kind of mode will allow you to basically pick from specific kind of like prefab, so to speak, factions and then kind of play. That also dovetails with skirmish mode. So we do have a tab up here that says skirmish, but what this is just a way to play maps you've made in the editor. But skirmish mode will be something where a map can actually be kind of declared as like a skirmish with having certain sort of requirements around like spawn points. And then it will allow you to basically play a map where you can choose a faction to spawn on the map somewhere with one of those like factions and actually play like a more kind of like RTS 1v1, 2v2 style battle against another AI. or hopefully another player. Then, also in phase 1, we have online multiplayer with built-in and generated maps. This will be actually playing online on maps that are either generated through the map generator or like built-in skirmish maps. So it won't yet be like custom skirmish maps to play online together. It'll be stuff that's like packed in that we already control. So that'll be what that is. And then that will be basically phase 1. So pretty chunky, right? It's multiplayer with other people. It's like custom units, some map generator stuff. It's gonna be big. Then we have phase 2. So phase 2 is like kind of like iterating on that core stuff while also kind of giving more content. So for people who are really stoked about the campaigns, phase 2 will see the release of Act 2 into early access. That'll be chapters 4 through 6. So that stuff is like that's all of Act 2. And so it'll be 3 full new campaign maps, again, all with custom music. You'll see new sprites, all that stuff is going to be in there. And it's going to be, approximately the same, if not a little bit longer in terms of playtime of those same maps. We're also going to add in online multiplayer with custom maps. So that'll be you'll be able to make your own custom maps and then kind of upload them in some way to allow you to like play them with other people. And that kind of dovetails with this in-game mod browser. So if you've ever played something like StarCraft or Warcraft or even like Dota that had like custom map modes, that'll have the ability to basically kind of see custom maps and just download them and use them. Custom mods and download them and use them. Excuse me. We'll also have, this might come earlier because this is a huge request already, but multi-select and execution. So this is the ability for you to select multiple units at once and kind of move them or have them basically do basic actions together. So I know a lot of people are like, it's very tedious to select, if you want a line of 5 units to move, all just like in a row in a line together, you have to basically like click at least twice for each unit. This will be more like you can sort of select these units and then, right click somewhere to move and they'll all move kind of together. So it'll make it just a lot faster to kind of operate the game. Additionally, around this time, got some more kind of like gravy. We got some faction tutorials. So this will be smaller scale tutorials that are meant to just sort of demonstrate core faction mechanics. So you don't get lost when you play them in the editor, when you play them in the campaigns or in a skirmish mode. And then we're kind of planning a little bit of a UI makeover. So this is basically the ability we'll be kind of doing a little bit more kind of polish around the UI so it just kind of looks nicer. Then after that we have phase 3. So this is like all gravy. So we want to add controller support for the game and also really nail down Steam Deck support. I think Steam Deck is like a great way to play Cantata, especially if we can make it look really good and run really well. We've already seen some people have launched it on the game. You have to generally control it with like the touch screen, but ideally you can control it with the keypad, especially if we want to like launch on like Switch or PlayStation or whatever else. Having controller support's a huge deal. And then also kind of generally final polish here. Also, we're saying as part of like these phases and 1.0 and past 1.0, we'll be incorporating feedback and stuff and like other features that we want in the game based on player feedback. So this is not the extent of everything that is going to come in. There will be more stuff, and I can even think of something off the top of my head right now that I want to add in for phase 1 that I think would be a big deal. But like this is kind of general high level, like this stuff we want to get in. And then after that, yes, we have 1.0. So at 1.0, we have the final act. So that'll be Act 3, kind of the conclusion of the story of Cantata. We want to build out like something of an online mod platform that's really easy to kind of browse and upload mods. Where you can just like see what people have done and kind of, rate and review and comment stuff. I know Steam Workshop kind of already does this, but we're not totally wedded to Steam Workshop because Cantata will be on sort of multiple storefronts and ideally on consoles. And we want all those people to have access to mods. And Steam Workshop only works for Steam games. So we don't want to have the mod stuff too coupled with Workshop because then it's going to fragment the mod community. So we want to kind of have something that works for everybody. We'll have localization, which will be, localized to, so it'll be multiple languages. We haven't said yet what languages those will be, but you can expect sort of the standard ones and maybe some more interesting ones that you wouldn't expect. So for everyone who doesn't speak English, we will have that stuff coming. And then we have cutscenes, which is not like, don't get too excited. I saw someone mention in the chat, but we're trying to add a little bit more visual flair to the game between just kind of launching maps from a menu. So
we have to. They're full action.
They're live action.
Live action, live video.
Real-time rendering.
So we're still in the audition phase, but
yeah. Yeah, I mean, feel free to ask any questions about the roadmap. This is going to be accessible from this roadmap tab in the menu here. You start in the welcome thing. If you click roadmap, you'll see here. It'll also be online on social stuff, so you'll be able to access it from there, and we'll probably update it over time. But yeah, so this is kind of what to expect when you start, and it's taken us an hour and a half just to give high-level notes of everything. So I feel like it's a good sign. There's a lot of stuff in the game. They're not going to be live action, Sam. Sorry. Dia asks, how do I add supply in the editor? That's actually a really good question, and this is I want to change this because it's very bad right now. But if you go to the build menu and then go down to details, there is this terrain in details called, you have to scroll down. I think Rogue might have renamed it. I think it's diamonds and ore. Oh no, the node ones. This is really bad. I want to make it where you can actually just say a terrain has resources, but right now you have to place these, and it's the ones that say node in the title. So diamonds node and flat node. If you place this here, you'll be able it has resources, and you'll be able to see that because if you press I think this one, yeah, it says 100 there. So that's how you add those. I apologize in advance for everyone that will bang their head against the wall to figure out how to do it. This is how. Yeah. Exit the title.
Yeah, and there's two different ways to add supply. Those two different, the diamonds and the ore have just different amounts, and right now you can't change them. I think it's 50 and 100.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna add in something where basically what it should be is that when you click, there'll be like a tab in the editor where you can basically click a tile and say there are resources here, and that way the art is like decoupled from the like actual data itself. So
yeah,
it'll be improving all the time. We can start bringing the stream to a close. I'll do like a sort of final call for questions from people. I know we're live right now on Twitch, Steam, and YouTube. So if anybody on anywhere has a question for us, definitely send it up now. We are going to be doing another stream, I think, on Thursday or Friday for the launch. So we'll be around then, and we're also doing another stream in 2 weeks, which will kind of be like recapping early access, talking about any kind of like high-level bugs or feedback, probably talking about what's going to come to the first patch, all that stuff. So you can look forward to that as well. So we'll be in contact. We're not going to just like run away and release the game. And Rogue says on the chat that we're also active in Discord. Ideally too, like for people who are making maps or interested in making maps, I think the forum will be a really good place for that stuff. People who want to start like collabs, even just like working on sprites right now. I know you can't upload your own stuff yet, but once that comes pretty soon, you'll be able to kind of really easily bring those in. So it's not crazy to start collabing on maps, sprite sheets, terrain packs, all that. And then that can just kind of happen. You can also, for what it's worth, you can share maps by just sending scenario files around. So there'll be like a little bit of like a black market Discord DMs of scenario files, just kind of sharing before we have a proper platform. Steam Phoenix asks, are there any factions or entities that we haven't seen in the first 3 chapters? Yes, there are. So I can tell you that there's like, I can think of like the data file. I think that there's like 160 interactables / units. So the core factions represent like 45 of that. Some of those are like dumb things like doors, but there is like a decent amount of kind of unique stuff in other chapters. So you're not going to exhaust all the art in the first 3 chapters. And in fact, there's like enough stuff that we don't have enabled in the editor right now that's in the later chapters that I open up the release version of the game and see that it's missing, and it feels like we're only giving people like a quarter of what's actually in the game. So there's definitely more stuff coming, and we'll probably be adding to it up until release. So, and the nice part about that is like, as we add new sprites to the game, because we're literally using the same data file that you're using to build the maps, like, you'll just get those too. So there's no the line between what we get and what players get will be blurred. Yeah. Any other like questions from YouTube or Steam? Mark or Rogue? I don't have any eyes on that, so I don't know if you've seen anything there.
No.
They are good.
Cool.
It's very exciting.
All right, well, I think with that, then we're going to wrap it. We're about right at an hour and a half, so I think it's a good run. Thank you for everyone for joining. Again, May 12th, early access on Steam. It might be coming out on Epic. I don't remember, but it's definitely out on Steam. Buy it on Steam. Also, if you like it, leave us a good review. Reviews are like super, super, super helpful, especially if you like the game. I know people who have negative reviews can often have like a more negative impact on a game. If the game is bad, leave us a negative review by all means. But if you like the game and you've played it for like whatever the review barrier is, definitely give us a nice review on Steam. That stuff super, super, super helps the game. Not only for like our perspective, but Steam surfaces stuff that has positive reviews more to other players. So if the game has a good review and like a good review score, it's more possible that more people just see the game. And I think there's a lot of people who want this type of thing. So I know everyone in the chat right now has been, been with us for a while, I think. So we want to spread the word basically. So if
please.
you do like it, between now and then too, right? Like tell your friends that the game's coming out. You'll be able to buy it. We have also said the price, I think. What is it on there? Oh yeah, it's on Discord, so we can say it. So it's going to be launching at it's going to be $25. There will be a launch discount. I think it's going to be a 20% launch discount. So definitely a benefit to buy it early. And then we're gonna the price is gonna go up in early access, I believe I can say, but not by too much. But it is a good time. If you want it, you can get it now, and you can get it a little bit cheaper than normal. Dia says it's a fair price, TBH. I think so, Dia. Thank you so much. Steam mentions that this is a great reminder about how impressed I was with this game. Thank you, Steam. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Dia's also writing an article for us somewhere. I don't know where it's at. They also need to write an article on price philosophy in games. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, if no one's got any questions, I think we'll wrap it up. Mark and Rogue, thank you for being on the stream.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, we'll see everyone else probably, I guess, on the other side of release. So again, May 12th, early access launch. We'll be around everywhere reading all the stuff. We've also got some videos, YouTubers lined up, so start seeing some more videos hit about the game. But until then, thank you all so much, and thanks for being along for the ride as we kind of sail into early access. So I'm gonna run a trailer, and then we'll talk to in the stream and talk to everyone later. Thank you, everybody.
Namaste, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.